Hello again, everybody, and welcome to our political segment, Seniors Vote. I'm Dan Roberts, publisher of the Vegas Voice, and I am very proud to announce that our exclusive interview today is from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Here now, direct from the White House, the President of the United States.
Well, this is actor Robert Wagner. My question is for President Reagan. Mr. President, when would you declare a person legally dead? When the heart stops beating or when the brain stops functioning?
Oh, I would have to say when the heart stops beating. Good Lord, if we determine it by the brain stops functioning, we would wipe out half the Senate.
And Mr. President, how do you feel about women astronauts?
Well, I think this is great for the country because if the crew ever got lost in space, at least a woman would ask for directions.
Well, this is Clint Eastwood, punk. I'm not sure if I had 6 questions or only 5, so I'll just ask one. My question is for President Nixon. Mr. President, can you tell us about your childhood?
Well, I was a little liar growing up in Whittier, California. I was not popular. Nobody liked me. I can remember when I was 3 years old, my father picked me up, threw me up in the air, and then walked away. We never saw him again, ever. I can remember also when I got married. Pat showed up at the church with a date, for heaven's sakes. And nobody thought that my marriage was going to last. Nobody. Matter of fact, they threw minute rice.
And next we go to President Jimmy Carter. Well, President Carter, this is Mr. Haney from Green Acres, and I have a genuine question. What do you like about Joe Biden?
He makes me look good.
And what do you like about Kamala Harris?
Oh, she makes Joe Biden look good.
And Mr. President, do you think Kamala Harris's campaign is picking up speed?
Oh, of course it is. You know, things always pick up speed when they're going down.
Well, this is Jerry Seinfeld, and my question is for President Ford. Is it true you were known for falling down a lot?
That's true. I did fall down a lot. But unlike the current president, I never fell going up the stairs. Never. And, of course, recently, the president had the worst fall of his career. He fell off the country.
Well, how about that Bob Hope? Isn't that something? I can't believe I'm here. I've known every president on that stage. Isn't that something? How about that George Bush Sr.? That's who my question is for. Mr. President, what was the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you while being president?
Okay. Gotcha. Well, the worst thing was throwing up all over the Japanese prime minister. I remember I was invited to a state dinner in Japan, and they gave me some bad broccoli. And first thing you knew, I barfed all over the Japanese prime minister. But I got to tell you, he was very gracious. He was a very gracious man, very kind. He just stood up and he simply said, "Asshole." That's what he said. Asshole. Something like that.
Well, this is comedian Jay Leno here, and I got a question for President Bill Clinton. President Clinton, what do you attribute your long marriage to Hillary to?
Well, every week, we go to the same restaurant. She goes on Monday and I go on Friday.
Well, this is Donald J. Trump. They can take my ears, but they cannot take my liberty. They can't take my liberty. Joe Biden, my question is for you, Joe Biden. Do you think you're doing a good job as president?
Hey, man, you chumps out there. My name is Joe Bushman. Joe Biden. Joe Biden. What was the question?
You think you're doing a good job, Joe?
I have done the work of 8 people.
8 people.
Grumpy, dopey, sleepy, farty, and happy.
And Joe, you weren't allowed to run for re-election. They removed you from running for re-election, Joe, due to cognitive issues. I'd like to give you a little cognitive quiz, Joe. Out of the 7 continents, I want you to name 3 continents, Joe.
Hey, man, you know the thing. The 3 continents are mustard, ketchup, and mayonnaise. Is that right?
Our Vegas voice thanks to our radio host, Rich Natoli, and of course, comedy legend, Rich Little. And we hope that during this election season, while we have no doubt it will be mean and nasty, perhaps, just perhaps, we can all take a step back and smile. Speaking of smiles, if you want to see these great funny men, the Vegas Voice will present an evening of riches, 2 men, 200 voices on Saturday, October 26th at Sun City McDonald Ranch. Tickets can be purchased on our ticket hotline or at the front desk at the Sun City McDonald Ranch Clubhouse. Until next time, this is Dan Roberts thanking you for supporting the Vegas Voice.